We are a team of 3 building our first indie game, One Last Raid. 1 month ago, we released our first complete game loop as a demo on Steam and started gathering our feedback. One Last Raid is a horde survival game set in a fantasy world. Each run consists of 20 short rounds where the goal is to survive while taking down as many enemies as possible, to grow stronger quickly and to snowball faster than the enemy waves. The controls are inspired by ARPGs like Diablo and Path of Exile, featuring active abilities. At the end of each round, a chest spawns allowing us to choose an item. If we survive the run, we keep all our items for the next run. However, if we die, we are reset to our state before the run started. You've provided a lot of feedback on the demo, and based on that, I'm now focusing on addressing the following main issues. Lack of run and build variety. Limited player agency. The progression across normal and heroic difficulties feels good, but players quickly experience everything there is. There are too few abilities and too many passive stat upgrades that don't significantly change playstyle. Flow disruption due to upgrade selections. Currently, level ups instantly pause the game and force an upgrade choice, interrupting the flow. Round duration too short. Rounds currently start at 20 seconds and increase up to 35 seconds, making a full run last 12 to 16 minutes. Game feel is a bit clunky. Many players have given feedback on how to improve controls. Overall, the game feels a little sluggish and unresponsive. Flat damage stat is too strong. It is currently the only primary stat worth prioritizing in upgrades and items. No user settings. No sound settings, key and ability remappings, windowed and full screen mode, graphical options, you know the drill. Addressing the core issue. Low run variety. First, I'm removing experience and level ups, replacing them with a shop between rounds. Instead of XP, we now collect a currency. Let's call them souls. After all, we are skeletons, so if not us, who else would it make more sense for to collect the souls of our enemies? The shop vendor is this placeholder guy here for now, where we trade souls for upgrades. At the end of each round, we can either take loot from the chest or opt for extra souls to use in the shop. There we can buy abilities and upgrades. Now we need to decide what should be available in the shop. Items already come from chests as free rewards and are our primary progression. Adding items to the shop might be overkill, so for now we're keeping them out. I'm not ruling it out entirely, but at this stage let's see the shop more as a class trainer that improves the character itself rather than what we wear. Previously, new skills were offered at fixed level milestones, level 5, level 10 and level 15. From now on, new abilities can appear in the shop at any time and are the most expensive upgrades. You can always decide on your own when and if to invest in a new ability, or if you rather keep boosting an existing one. Once an ability is purchased, it won't appear again. If we own an ability, its upgrades will start showing up. Initially, simple stat boosts like percent damage, area, duration, etc. Maybe we can add playstyle variations for abilities in the future. Beyond abilities, we can buy direct passive upgrades that apply to the entire character, such as plus flat damage, plus crit chance, and damage reduction. General upgrades are slightly more expensive than ability-specific ones, so you can either boost specific skills or invest in upgrades that benefit the whole character. Of course, we also need a reroll button and the option to lock upgrades, if we can't afford them but want to save for the next round. Additionally, abilities can now be rearranged whenever the game is paused. When purchasing a new ability, we can now swap its slot with an existing one or replace an old ability directly. Also, we can now leave behind abilities we don't want anymore. To make things more exciting and fully embrace greed, I'm experimenting with a new idea in this patch. Players can now influence the run itself with upgrades that apply for the current run. These run upgrades can even grant extra souls if they come with a risk. Essentially, a choose-your-own difficulty system. Or in other words, I wonder if I can get away with this. Let's build a few examples. All enemies have more life. All enemies deal more damage. Archer arrows move faster. Archers now shoot multiple arrows. Soldiers can now throw their spears. Rats move faster. Brute explosion radius increases. Brute explosion now heals other enemies instead of damaging them. Plague Watchers spawn more rats from their cages upon death. Plague Watchers leave poison clouds upon death. spawn an additional boss in the next round. There are also upgrades that don't grant souls, but cost souls instead, as they allow for greater soul farming within a run. Rounds last longer. Increased enemy spawn rate. Upgrade ranks, white, green, blue, purple and orange, are now tied to the current run level. The further you progress, the higher the chance of rarer, more powerful shop upgrades. Chest loot quality also factors in the total number of collected souls in the current run. This means you can theoretically find great loot even on normal difficulty, but only if you take on enough risk. Best rewards, however, are easier to find on higher difficulties like Heroic, where 50% more enemies spawn. Speaking of difficulties, I also added tooltips to the difficulty selection, so you can now see and compare how each difficulty impacts the run exactly. The goal is to reward greed and risk-taking. Players who prefer a safer approach can do so, but won't get top-tier loot. Then, let's start adding some new abilities. First, I've recycled our old level up effect from the last demo. Previously, it caused an AoE knockback and damage upon leveling up. Since XP and level ups are gone, I'm just simply repurposing this effect as an ability called Spirit Bomb. Also, I prototyped and added the following two new abilities. Necrotic Breath and Doom Surge. Additionally, we now randomly block some abilities per run to prevent players from always using the same builds. The base round length is now 30 seconds instead of 20, increasing by 5 seconds every 5 levels. Players can further extend round duration through challenge upgrades. Runs will now last closer to 20 minutes instead of 15. Controls refinements. To improve game feel, reduce clunkiness and make everything more responsive, character rotation now always snaps towards the mouse cursor or right analog stick if you are using a gamepad. Abilities no longer override rotation mid-animation. Most abilities impacts now trigger exactly or very short after the button is pressed. Also, all animations are now shorter and faster. Holding an ability button now continuously triggers it instead of showing a preview. Instead, there's now one central preview that is always shown when you hold any ability button that uses an area for its effect. The ability preview fades out upon release or single press. For players who do not want to hold buttons but prefer spamming, I also added a 0.3 seconds ability queue threshold for smoother inputs. So now inputs are also tracked slightly before the cooldown is finished. Please give me feedback if you are like me and like it, or if it feels rather disturbing, or if you don't notice any difference at all. We could also turn this into a user setting in an upcoming patch. Lastly, I removed the 0.5 seconds global cooldown completely, allowing many abilities to be used simultaneously or very fast after each other. For example, the life potion and our dash can now be used simultaneously at any time without cancelling other abilities. Flat damage nerf. To prevent plus flat damage being the only god tier stat, I'm doubling base damage and enemy life for now. Previously our slash dealt 10 damage, now it does 20 without upgrades. I also considered splitting damage into several types like magic and physical, but decided against it for now. Because this would limit build flexibility immensely and would always make you waiting only for the abilities that you collected gear for. This is against our chosen design principle to being able to test new builds and abilities in each run, and not having to commit to builds that are carved in stone afterwards. However, I'm already exploring other ideas what we could try instead in future patches. Settings menu. Basic sound and video settings are now implemented. Additional user settings like custom key bindings will follow with future patches. Alright, now we just have to try balancing everything somehow, and then we can go ahead and release all changes to our free demo on Steam. Meaning you can now boot up Steam and experience all the changes yourselves. Let us know what you think and give us feedback. The best ways are to join us on Discord and to chat with us directly using the Steam Community Hub or to write a Steam review for our demo on our demo page. Oh, and before I forget it, we've also added new music from our composer Yannick. including 2 new boss tracks and a menu theme. All are of course early drafts to test the overall feel. The same also applies to most of our art assets. Nothing is finished, nothing is done. You may encounter placeholders, missing animations or sounds. We are working in iterative short cycles and further polish everything when it is time to do so. For example, everything you see in the UI are just placeholders or programmer art I chose or created to visualize it. If you encounter bugs or crashes, please report them directly to me on Discord. You can find all the links in the video description. And if you like our journey and enjoy playing the game, please consider wishlisting One Last Raid on our Steam main page. This is really the best way you can actively support us before our early access release later this year. Well, that's it for today. Next time I'll update you on feedback and on our next steps. Bye bye.